In a world that is often fast-paced and tumultuous, the need to connect with the teachings of Islam is more significant than ever. The Hadiths offer an intimate glimpse into his exemplary life. Learning these Hadiths is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a journey to draw closer to the Prophet's character, morals, and the divine wisdom encapsulated in his teachings. In a world that is often fast-paced and tumultuous, the need to connect with the teachings of Islam is more significant than ever. The Hadiths offer an intimate glimpse into his exemplary life. Learning these Hadiths is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a journey to draw closer to the Prophet's character, morals, and the divine wisdom encapsulated in his teachings. The significance of studying Hadiths cannot be overstated. They provide a practical understanding of the Qur'an and offer indispensable guidance on matters of faith, ethics, and daily conduct. Through learning and embodying these teachings, Muslims can navigate the complexities of the modern world while remaining anchored in the principles laid down by the Prophet. Hadith wa. Virtue of making tasbeeh. كلمتان خفيفتان على اللسان ثقيلتان في الميزان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن SubhanAllahi wa bihamdi SubhanAllahi al-azeem. There are two words which are light on the tongue, heavy on the scale, and loved by the Most Merciful, SubhanAllahi wa bihamdi SubhanAllahi al-azeem. Glorified is Allah and praised is He. Glorified is Allah the Most Great. Explanation. The remembrance of Allah is what gives comfort to the heart and soul. In this hadith, the Prophet informs us of the great blessings that result from two particularly short phrases verbalized on a Muslim's tongue. The word Tasbeeh means to negate from Allah every type of defect and imperfection. The most typical phrase used to do this in Arabic is to say SubhanAllah. The two phrases mentioned are easy to say in any situation without difficulty. A person can repeat them over and over again often, and this is why the Prophet recommended it. We are also informed that the weight of these two short phrases will be very heavy on the Day of Judgment, when all of our good and bad deeds will be weighed against each other on the scale. Then the Prophet stated that these two phrases, in particular, are very beloved by Allah. This indicates that doing tasbeeh of Allah and praising Him is among the best forms of supererogatory worship. This hadith also teaches us about the vastness of Allah's mercy over us, because He is willing to give us lots of reward for doing small good deeds. Hadith number 2. Good treatment of parents. جاء رجل إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا رسول الله من أحق بحسن صحابتي قال أمك قال ثم من قال أمك قال ثم من قال أمك قال ثم من قال ثم أبوك. A man came to the Messenger of Allah and said, O Messenger of Allah, who among the people has the most right to my good company? He replied, Your mother. The man said, Then who? He replied, Your mother. The man said, Then who? He replied, Your mother. The man said, Then who? He replied, Then your father. Explanation. The mother symbolizes sacrifice, honor, and purity. She is usually the first to look after the child. In this hadith, the Prophet is asked about the person most deserving of good companionship among the people, and he responds that it is the mother. The Prophet emphasizes this fact 3 times, which goes to show the high level of regard for the mother over other relatives in the religion. The father being mentioned only once does not mean that there is deficiency in his right to good treatment. Rather, the point is to show the greatness of the mother's right. Some speculate that the reasons may be due to the abundance of her favors over the child and the many physical and psychological hardships endured by her during pregnancy, delivery, and breastfeeding. She also serves and has more compassion for her children than others. This amount of love and care may blind the child from giving her the treatment that she deserves, or the child may even begin to take her for granted. Thus, the Prophet wanted to emphasize it. Hadith number 3. Avoiding suspicion. إياكم والظن فإن الظن أكذب الحديث. Beware of suspicion, for it is the most untruthful type of speech. Explanation. Islamic law encourages reconciliation, consolidation, and harmony between Muslims, and it prohibits anything that may cause rift, hostility, hatred, and disunity between them. In this hadith, the Prophet warns us against one of the things that leads to hostility and disunity in the community: suspicion. This is when someone accuses another of doing something wrong in her heart without evidence. In other words, it is to think evil of other Muslims. It is not appropriate for a Muslim to think bad of another Muslim merely out of suspicion without even ascertaining the doubt. Some of the scholars say that we must do our best to first give excuses for others' wrong behavior to the best of our ability before making a judgment. We do not always know the circumstances of other people and why they are behaving in a certain manner. Perhaps they are not aware that they are doing something wrong, or maybe they are stuck in a situation where it is difficult for them to act otherwise. These are just examples, but there could be numerous other valid reasons as well. Sometimes people are just calling for help, but nobody has ever offered it to them. The Prophet warned us against it because it leads to hostility, hatred, rumors, and overall disunity within the community. Everyone ends up suffering due to something that is not even confirmed. How often have we heard of cases where marriages are broken, friendships lost, and communities torn apart all because someone thought somebody was doing something wrong, only to realize later that they were heavily mistaken in their assessment? Hadith number 4, guarding the tongue. إن العبد لا يتكلم بالكلمة ما يتبين فيها يزل بها في النار أبعد مما بين المشرق والمغرب. A slave of Allah may utter a word without giving it much thought, by which he slips into the fire a distance further than that between east and west. Explanation. The tongue is a great blessing of Allah, and despite its small size, it could be the cause of a person's bliss or doom in the afterlife. Therefore, it is very important for a Muslim to safeguard her tongue from lying, backbiting, slandering, cursing, and a host of other sins that emanate from this single organ. In fact, some words are so dangerous that they can throw a person outside the fold of Islam. The Prophet, in this hadith, is teaching us about the effects of words and their consequences. A person could utter a word or statement thinking nothing of it, and may even consider it insignificant. However, in the sight of Allah, it may be highly detested, which causes the person to fall into the depths of hellfire. The opposite could also occur. A person may utter a word or statement and not give it much attention. However, in the sight of Allah, it may be highly loved, which causes the person to be raised several levels in paradise. The important lesson from this wonderful hadith is that we must think before we speak, as the Prophet directed us in another hadith to either say something good or remain silent. Some of the scholars mention that before uttering a word, the person is its master, but as soon it leaves the tongue, then the person becomes its prisoner. It is important to ponder over the consequences of one's words before speaking, and the harms they may cause to oneself and others. So, dear listeners, make up your mind from today that you will try to follow these hadiths and stay with us for just 8 to 10 minutes daily to learn about your religion, and subscribe to this channel to learn more about Islam. And get rewarded by sharing this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.